2 years. The 2-year-old child is not quite an infant anymore. He has become physically active, emotionally responsive, and playful, expressed in the exuberant, alert movements of the hand. The hand at left is flexing from the wrist inward, fingers extended, while the hand below is reaching and searching. The hand is still soft, with chunky finger pads and fleshy palm and fingers, but note the lengthened palm. It's losing its baby puffiness. The fingers are a bit longer, and it generally looks more autonomous. Proportionally, the whole hand from palm base to tip of middle finger is about the length of the adult hand from palm to the crease of the first digit of the little finger. 4 years. The hand of the 4-year-old seems superficially to be an enlarged version of the 2-year-old hand. It is still fleshy and delicate, with rounded forms. However, the 4-year-old is no longer an infant. Finger junctures have more firmness, tips are more spatulate, and muscular pressure can be asserted. Certainty and control are all new qualities which mark the maturing abilities of the child. The size is now from palm base to the crease of the first digit of the long middle finger of the adult. The hand of the 7 to 8-year-old child is characterized by a leaner aspect throughout. The stubby, chunky look is gone. The fingers are longer, the skin is still smooth, but tougher, the tips are flatter, and the nails are stronger and more durable. Knuckles no longer sink in dimpled recessions, but are clearly evident. The wrist and arm shank are taut and competent and have lost their baby softness. The hand is active and full of fantasy, releasing feeling and exhibiting heightened finger dexterity. The child at this stage will reveal a wide sphere of physical activity, reveling in acts that are vivid, imaginative, and pragmatic. Compared to the adult hand, this child's hand will measure from the heel of the adult palm to the second digit of the index finger. Joined with a body that is wiry, active, flexible, and full of energy, the hand of the pre-adolescent shown here has a lean, muscular palm, more evident knuckles, the presence of tendons on the dorsal surface when the hand is active, and a thicker, tougher skin quality throughout. Bony wrist eminences are beginning to emerge, although the carpals have not yet reached mature ossification, and the fingernails have become tougher and more durable. This hand is becoming one of exactness, vigor, and control. Proportionally, it measures from the adult palm heel to the crease of the second digit of the middle finger. 15 to 17 years. The young adult's hand has now reached a mature length and bulk, with the dense bones and muscles, thick skin texture, and firmness that characterize maturity. Note the almost fully developed knuckle capsules, the carpal eminences, the ulnar projection, and the tendons in action. The hand expresses the contrary and ambivalent tensions that often characterize this age. The most striking changes that occur in the mature hand after 20 years of age are in behavior. A more purposeful, well-coordinated behavior emerges, as shown in the assertive energies of the hand here. The mature hand you draw may be intellectual or physical, depending on its expression, but it is important that it be thematically whole and coordinated in its parts. In the middle years, as in the emerging mature phase, a long plateau of very slow change takes place. Skin texture, especially on the dorsal surface, tends to be firm and thick, with the beginning of a fine network of lines and wrinkles not conditioned by any specific behavior. Palm pads are thicker, and creases tend to be softer and puffier, the palm surface cut through with major and minor horizontal and vertical lines and irregular fissures. The dorsal side tends to be hairy, in the Malay, with an apparent vein system extending visibly up into the arm. Fingers have become chunkier, with decisive grooves cutting across the knuckle separations, and elevated tendons strongly dominate the dorsal surface. 60 years and over. The 60-year-old hand shown here from a palmar underview shows the still firm and competent quality of the hand. It shows a complex of activity and passivity, with its flaccid surface and deep furrows cutting across points of active stress. Marks of age can be seen in the fine, cross-grained network of wrinkles, the dull, striated, and brittle fingernails, the tense look of the tendons, and the unruly, curling hairs. The dominant characteristic of the hands in advanced age is a transparency of all top surfaces. Forms tend to contract, but the overall look is one of elongation because of the emerging skeletal structure from underneath. The musculature has become wasted and infirm, the skin thin, fine, and fragile, with veins prominent, random wrinkling, thickened muscle creases, and enlarged joints also add to the typical aged look, along with the slight tremor suggesting loss of alertness and activity. However, the carpus with its boniness and the thin shanks of the arm bones all suggest advancing age. Hand behavior in occupations. Drawing hands involved in various occupations can be either prosaic or exciting. Since the hand is the most plastic part of the anatomy, it can fit around or grasp an infinite variety of shapes and countless positions. Thus, an enormous variety of occupations can involve highly complex use of the hands. Occupations often require the use of some kind of utensil or tool, to which the hand must adapt itself. The kind of drawing one does of the hand working at various occupations is determined to a great extent by the instrument the hand must use. In this chapter, you will see how the element of design plays an important part in executing not only a visually clear but also a visually appealing drawing of the hand involved in an occupation. The hands shown here are all women's hands, well cared for, with a certain grace of gesture and finger movement that suggests a cultivated or privileged background. The hand above, with its finger elevations and extensions, could be that of a somewhat glamorous personality. In all sketches, the flesh appears firm but soft, suggesting both youth and maturity. The hands in all sketches reveal character. In the middle and lower ones, an object helps mold the form of the hand. Designing a technician's hand. Bringing out the eloquence of a prosaic subject takes great skill. Here the hands of a technician using laboratory instruments could become both dull and difficult. But not if a design concept is incorporated. In this drawing, the focal point of the design is the instruments connecting at an angle. All the fingers relate to this angle, and the veins of the lower hand restate the design theme. Both the lower little finger pointing toward the vector center and the angle of the arm follow the dominant direction of the design. Hand actions. With an inflexible object in a drawing of a hand held against a hard, unyielding object, the hand is not the primary concern in the initial stage. This sketch illustrates how the hand must relate convincingly to the structure of the guitar. Once its position and design have been established, the hands have a special configuration for playing, and a good reference source such as a photograph or a live model should be used to make sure this is accurate before proceeding with drawing. Refinements such as form stresses, finger tensions, wrist bends, and fingertip contacts and pressures, shaded accents and cast shadows are also necessary to let the eye see where one form relates to another, or to understand the correct positioning of the arm or fingers over the guitar. This drawing is not a finished one. If you feel the need to sketch in more tones or accents, do so. Variations in hand attitudes. The hands of a woman playing chess and pondering a move while smoking a cigarette present a challenging array of possibilities, contrasts, and form contrapositions. The crossed-over hand toying with a chess piece lets both hands create a provocative gesture. The right arm in hand support from below. The reverse direction of the cigarette sends the design flow back to the chess-playing hand. Note that the kinds of open-ended variations shown here are quite different from the constraints demanded by drawing hands playing a guitar. Unfamiliar actions. There is a great difference between drawing a familiar and an unfamiliar hand behavior. The two drawings here are good examples of this contrast. In the sketch showing the unfamiliar procedure of a sailor splicing rope, all aspects must be clearly expressed. Typical of this kind of drawing are illustrations or schematics found in texts or encyclopedias, where priority is given to procedures. On the other hand, the commonplace act of pipe smoking is so well known that the old person's hand at right could have been done in a dozen ways from different perspectives and still have been easily understood visually. Freedom and restriction in subject. Again, the two drawings here are a contrast, this time between the restrictions imposed by an object in the hands and complete freedom. In the drawing at right, the violin restricts hand position and behavior to its configurations. This would also be true for behavior or maneuvers where machines or implements are used. By contrast, the sketch at left is free and playful, and subject to numerous interpretations. Drawing this form allows the imagination free rein and is much less demanding than the one at right. To new discoveries, there is really no point at which the study of the hand ought to stop. Its complexity and challenge offer many more vital possibilities for exploration and experiment than have been covered in these pages. The drawing here, showing hands emerging in augmented perspective, summarizes the principles discussed throughout this book: contrapose masses, foreshortening, hands in action, hands working at an occupation, forms and structure, stress points, and many more. From here on, the discoveries are yours. Bibliography